tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Pop and get us swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track.
Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading no light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Put my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Pop and get us swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading no light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Put my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Pop and get us swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream.
All right. Hello, everyone. Grand Rising. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay? So let's get ready to get black into it. All right. Hey, Deronda, my aunt Egypt, Juju B is in the house. Sandra is here. All right, 504 NOLA, just anticipate. We the people is here. Okay. Let's get into it. The lounge. All right. Let's get into it. T. Alice is here. Miss Snap. Oh, yeah. All right, Sheila. Ninja Please is here. Okay, so shout out to everyone in the chat. I see you, Alice. And everyone tuned into the Queen, April. Shout out to my moderators putting in work. I see you, Natanya or Latanya. And Curtis is here. Mel, I see you, beloved. So everybody, please hit that like button. Thank you in advance for your cooperation and participation. Now, before we get into the meat and potatoes of it all, let's have a brief word from my sponsors at 12 Tribes.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts, and you can also find it at Walmart.com. Okay, so I have some sad news For those of you who follow my dear sister Lisa Cabrera and True Royal, okay, from the True Royal family. Well, Lisa just informed me right before I started my live that True Royal has had a stroke on yesterday. Okay, so prayers for her and her family as to go through this trying time. Okay, she's in the hospital currently. She is able to speak, so I will call her to check on her after this live. But Lisa just informed me of that. Lisa Cabrera. Okay, so prayers, out for True Royal speedy recovery and for her family. Okay, so you all please keep your prayers up. All right. So with that all being said, hopefully she has a speedy recover. Okay, so with that all being said, shout out to my moderators for putting in work. Okay, don't forget to get the likes up. Okay, so let's talk about it. Because the word on the street is, and you all can take this with a grain of salt, because Harvey Levin said he couldn't confirm it, but he said that Diddy had supposedly, according to sources, signed up for a program in jail where you get treatment for domestic violence as well as for illegal substances. And we all know that Diddy clearly needs help. Okay. Interestingly enough, that's what I was talking to you all about yesterday. So with that all being said, Harvey says that he hasn't confirmed it, but he's hearing that Diddy has signed up for this. And it's basically a normal program that they tend to have. It's something that they often offer, that they've been offering. And, as we know, Diddy's going up for his sentencing October the 3rd. So this could only help his case. Now, I know the naysayers and the Diddy haters are going to be saying, oh, he's just doing it so he can get out. Oh, he's just, he's not really sincere or whatever. Well, that's up for the judge to decide. But nonetheless, he supposedly signed up for this program to help him with his violent behavior. And let's not forget how they said that he took a program like that with the aid of Jane Doe that they weren't allowed to speak about during the trial. Okay, so he supposedly signed up for that as well as a substance abuse plan or a program. And he definitely needs a substance abuse program. Okay, because if you're already a person who's hot tempered, somebody who's already having some sort of bipolar, maybe issues, and then you put illegal substances with that, it only makes it elevated, okay? Makes it 10 times worse, I'm sure. So he definitely does need help. Okay, so with that all being said, okay, Miss Sunshine to you said, I'm not impressed. Well, you don't have to be. None of us have to be, beloved, but in his case, I'm sure he's hoping the judge is. Okay, so now with that all being said, let's talk about the other news. Because y'all know yesterday I did a video telling you guys about some cases where first offenders got stiff penalties, and then some cases where they got lighter penalties. Now, in the cases where they got, the severe punishments, the max or even more up to the judge's discretion, were in cases where there were minors involved. Those were the only ones that I found. Okay. And then that pastor who also was dealing with a minor, Pastor Shop or Shap. Okay. And then he got like 144 months, so like 12 years. So with that all been said, here's the thing. Now TMZ has reported that the prosecution is having, a kerfuffle. Says that they're scrambling, okay, and scraping. It says that they can't find a case, they can't find, cases that are similar to Diddy's, where in fact the John was the one convicted of the Mann Act violation and not the pimps and panderers or even the prostitutes. So I find that interesting. But you know what? I found 2 cases of it. So let's talk about it. Because I don't know. I think they need to have at least 3 cases, okay, to impress the judge. And funny thing is, like I said, they can't seem to be finding these cases. Okay, they can't seem to be finding these cases. Thanks for the prayers for True Royal, everybody. Thank you. I'll let her know. So with that all being said, Deronda said scratching and surviving. Lorraine said and astrogliding, okay? This is all hilarious. Kane says off topic, but the Republicans blocked Congress for looking into the Epstein files. We can talk about that too. Now, with that all been said, here is the problem. You see, because this is rooted in racism, the Mann Act, as we all know, I've said it a myriad of times, and often used to prosecute men who look like Diddy. They usually don't tend to charge the clients, who are usually people who don't look like Diddy. Okay, please pay attention. Now, the infamous case that I have referred to on several occasions when I've been talking to you all about this, was the one with Elliot Spitzer. a former governor of New York, who in 2008 was accused of being a one who was patronizing this Emperor's Club VIP prostitution ring. Now, I told you how Mark Agnifilo defended Tamika Rochelle Lewis, the black woman who was who was charged, and then there were two other people. There was the white woman whose name is Cecil Sewall, and then her then boyfriend Mark Brenner. All of these people were first-time offenders. Okay. That being said, they were prosecuted because they were running the prostitution ring. But Spencer, the governor, former governor, he was actually just a client, and they elected not to even indict or charge him. So, but why did they indict and charge Diddy? Well, I think we all know why. Okay, so please pay attention. Now, with that all been said, hold on just a second. All right, sorry about that, folks. I was talking to someone. So, with that all being said, don't you all find that interesting? Now, let's talk about it because I'm sure they found at least one case, and that would be the case of Jack Johnson, that infamous case. Remember, I told you that they got Jack Johnson twice. Okay. First of all, one of the women was actually a prostitute named Belle Schreiber. I want to say her name was. This was in 1913 or transporting a former prostitute. I'm sorry. She was actually a former prostitute. Okay. And that's why they said it was widely said that it was racially motivated. Okay. So Miss Bell was a former prostitute, not actually even still a prostitute at the time, they say. But, so like I said, that's one case they could try to use and say that, that was similar because but here's the thing, they don't want to use that, I'm sure, because that would only further prove Mark Agnifilo's case. Because remember, Mark Agnifilo said that it was racist. Let's go back to exactly what he said, okay? Likes up, everyone, please. And he also said that Diddy was targeted. So if it is in fact racist, and the only explanation or case that they can come up with is the one about Jack Johnson, well, that just further proves, like I said, Mark Agnifilo's allegation from the start. Okay. And it also proves, like Mark Agnifilo said in the courtroom when Diddy was on trial, that he was targeted by the government, which is exactly what he was. Okay. Which is exactly what it was after he sued Diageo. We all know that by now. Okay. I'm the one that broke the story. Okay. So Sean Diddy Combs moves to dismiss federal charge, arguing state's racist origins. Okay. Now, with that all being said, let's get into it. Attorneys for Sean Diddy Combs are moving to dismiss one of the charges that the embattled music mogul is facing, arguing that the currently incarcerated Combs has been subject to a racist prosecution, which prosecutors have previously denied. Okay, do y'all hear how this is sounding? Okay, so you know what the defense is now going to argue? You see, since the prosecution, that is the feds, the government, since they can't find any cases to significantly compare to Diddy's that show that a John was convicted under the Mann Act and got a hefty sentence, because there's a case I'll tell you about in a minute where the John was convicted, and this isn't even an old case, but this John, he actually still didn't get a real stiff sentence. He got less than what the prosecution's asking for Diddy. I'll tell you that much, because for Diddy, they're asking for 63 months. Okay, it was a little over 5 years. But we'll get into that in a second. So they're having a hard time. Now, which what the prosecution or the defense is going to argue in this case, I'm sure now when they go back for sentencing October the 3rd, the defense is likely going to argue that this is nothing other than, please pay attention, selective prosecution. Okay? Because that's what it is. Selective prosecution. All right. Now, goes on to say, so they were moving to dismiss the charges that the embattled music mogul is facing, arguing that the currently incarcerated Combs has been subjected to a racist prosecution, which prosecutors have, of course, denied. They say this case is unprecedented in many ways, but perhaps most notably and most disturbingly, no white person has ever been the target of remotely similar prosecution. Okay? That's what the defense argued in a motion that they filed. They say Mr. Combs has been singled out because he is a powerful Black man and he is being prosecuted for conduct that regularly goes unpunished. Combs' attorneys are asking the court to drop count 3 in the superseding indictment against Combs, transportation to engage in prostitution, arguing that there has never been a similar prosecution under the Mann Act. The Mann Act, which was previously called the White Slave Traffic Act, was passed in 1910 to prohibit the transportation of women for prostitution and human trafficking. Okay, this was supposed to be by force. Okay, they said it's baseless. He baselessly accused the government. This is what they say. Listen, this is what they said that, well, Agnifilo said this was a takedown of a successful Black man and accused the government of racism. And then prosecutors took issue with his statements. And they basically said he basically accused the government of engaging in a racist prosecution. Now, they need to sit down somewhere because we all know, at least people who look like me know, other people may deny, but they really know too, as far as I'm concerned, that this country absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, okay, they absolutely do engage in racist prosecutions all the time. That's what they do. This country is known for that, okay, throughout the land, okay, not just here in this country. Other countries know this is what the United States does, okay? So with that being said, they claim that he baselessly made this, allegation or whatever. Now, his attorneys argue that the statute has only been used to prosecute people of color. What was racist in its inception has often been racist in its operation. The charge of transporting escorts across state lines for purposes of prostitution is based on a law, okay, which has a long and troubling history as a statute with a racist origin, used to target Black men and supposedly protect white women from them. Okay? I mean, this is all true. Look at Diddy's supposed victims, Cassie and Jane Doe. Those are not Black women. Now, I know some of y'all want to pretend Cassie's Black, but she isn't. You have 5% Black in you doesn't make you Black. Okay, let's just keep it real. So y'all see where this is going? It's absolutely racist in its origins. And what do the prosecutors look like waltzing up into court October the 3rd? And this is the case they can bring up, Jack Johnson, the very case that made this whole act nefarious, okay, and infamous, okay, due to the history. So I just want you all to pay attention because this isn't going to go well for them. It's all I'm saying. All right. And now here's another case. Now, one notable case is United States versus Paul Little, also known as Max Hardcore. Now, he was a corn star. Okay. Now, basically, this was in 2008 in Florida. Okay. He was not a traditional John, but Max Hardcore, also known as Paul Little, was prosecuted under obscenity. Now, let me say this. He was prosecuted under obscenity and Mann Act violations related to transporting women across state lines to participate in pornographic, with a P, videos. Now, this wasn't specifically the Mann Act, but it had Mann Act elements, such as the Mann Act element was the court found that he transported women across state lines for the purpose of creating and distributing obscene material, violating the Mann Act. He was sentenced to 46 months in prison, okay, close to the statutory max, despite having no prior criminal record. The judge did emphasize, however, at the time that the exploitive nature of the acts and the interstate transport applying to the Mann Act, the judge did state that applying to the Mann Act, even though the women were ostensibly consenting adults, okay, they were all consenting. You see, that's the thing. about the Mann Act, they'll punish you for something that grown people absolutely agreed and consented to. Okay? I find that all interesting. Hold on. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Now, like I told you guys, they elected. That's the same jurisdiction. The Southern District of New York elected not to charge Elliot Spitzer for being one who used the services of a prostitution ring. And see, here's the thing, make it make sense. Because in fact, how does the government justify doing this to Diddy when this is something that's usually not even done? How can they justify it? Okay, it has to be that he was targeted. Okay, it has to be about race. Now, with that all being said, I'm trying to make sure. Now, here's what they also say about Max Hardcore, Paul Little. Adult film director and actor Max Hardcore, whose real name was Paul Little, was not convicted under the Mann Act. Now this article says he wasn't actually convicted. That's why I said they used elements of it, basically. Okay, instead, Little was convicted in 2008 by a federal jury in Tampa, Florida, on charges related to distributing obscene material via the U.S. mail and internet. He was found guilty of multiple counts of selling and distributing obscene content and was sentenced to nearly 4 years in prison. Now, these charges stemmed from the nature of the content he produced and distributed, which was considered obscene according to legal standards. The Mann Act, while historically used to address a range of issues, including prostitution and potentially interracial relationships, was not the basis for Little's conviction. Okay, so he actually wasn't convicted under the Mann Act, just had some similar elements, is what this basically says. So, that being said, they can't find any cases. The only case that I found was Jack Johnson. And I know they don't want to use that. What do y'all have to say about it? I know they don't want to use that. Now, since he's going to court for sentencing October the 3rd, well, if they can't find any cases, Harvey Levin says Diddy just might be home for the holidays, Thanksgiving or Christmas. What do y'all have to say about that? I know Nancy Grace is somewhere crying in the car. Clenching her fist. Her and Maureen Comey are both consoling each other right now. I don't want to get ahead of myself because he may not be out by Christmas, but I want to know is, how the hell are they going to explain this, Maureen Comey? 6-pack of white women, Karens. How are they going to explain this? That it wasn't, in fact, racially motivated, that he wasn't, in fact, targeted by the government. How are they going to explain it? Well, they can't. Not to my satisfaction, at least. Now watch this. I want you all to pay attention. That's right. Prince 5550 says he should be home now. Exactly. There's no good explanation as to why they didn't grant him bail in the first place. They said because he's violent, but at the end of the day, the violence is not what he was convicted for. And the things that they tried to use to tie the violence in, he wasn't convicted for that either. S trafficking, acquitted. So that didn't make any sense. But let me tell you all something. Remember when I told you guys about how the whole Diageo thing, the lawsuit that Diddy had with them, and they settled and all of that, and how Diddy called them out of racism and, you know, only putting his brands in urban communities and all of that. Remember that whole thing that led to this? Okay, trust and believe, that's exactly what it was. So here's what I want you all to pay attention to, though. Because somebody said, well, why would Diageo, why would that, why would other people be in on it? Because I said other people were in on it. Allegedly, this is all alleged. I told you all that I thought other people were behind it. People like Clive Davis and possibly Lucien Grange. Now, this is my opinion, so you can take it with a grain of salt. But the bottom line is, I also showed you proof and receipts that Clive Davis is a crook himself. I showed you how back in the 70s, he had all that Coca-Cola. Excuse me. He had all that powder. Okay? And why didn't he go to prison? This is right before he started Arista. Okay, so these people are crooks and criminals. And I find it interesting because there was a young lady who came out and said that there's a lot of Caucasian men who are doing the same thing as Diddy in the industry. Well, we already know that. Okay, so yeah, the government did target Diddy. I'm going to go to the audio for that in a second. But with that all been said, here's the thing. I want you all to pay attention to this. Hold on just a second. Diageo owns a vast portfolio because somebody said, why would all these other people be involved? Okay, they were clearly pro-prosecution. So I told them I'll answer for them online. But here's why. Diageo owns a vast portfolio of popular alcohol brands. Did y'all know that? Including well-known names like Johnny Walker, Smirnoff, Bailey's, Captain Morgan. They also own a wide range of other spirits like Tanqueray, Gordon's Gin, Ciroc, and Don Julio, as well as popular beers like Guinness. Additionally, Diageo produces various blended Scotch whiskeys. Okay, single malt Scotch whiskeys and other spirits like rum and vodka. Please pay attention. Do y'all hear this? Do y'all hear this? Hold on for just a second. Now, with that all being said, let's talk about some of the whiskeys. Well, we got blended Scotch, Johnny Walker, J&B, Buchanan's, Bell's, Black and White, White Horse, Logan, VAT 69. And let's talk about the single malt Scotch, where they got Cardhue, Keol, Illa, Lavolin. Some of these I never even heard of. They sound German. Talisker, Oban, Glenkinchie, Dalwhinnie, Craigenmore, Clydelish, the Singleton, Mortlock, Glen, and Ord. American whiskeys, Bullets. Irish whiskey, Roe and Company. Other spirits, vodka, gin, rum, tequila, liquors like Bailey's and Pimm's, brandy, Ciroc, VS, and McDowell's, Hague Club, Loyal 9 cocktails, beer, Guinness, and all that, and others. Justinery and Brooks, which are fine wines and spirit merchants. So I'm just saying, honey, they have a broad range. So when Diddy went against Diageo, he went against all those brands that I just named and then some. Y'all see what I'm saying? Do y'all hear what the queen is saying? Okay, I want you all to pay attention. This was, in fact, the takedown, the humiliation ritual of a black man. That's what it was. Okay? That's what it was. All because Diddy dared to stand up to them and sue them. I want y'all to pay attention. That's exactly what this is all about. Nobody's going to tell me anything different. Right? And if they do, I'm not going to believe it. Okay? So please pay attention. Now, here's what they're saying next. Now, Fox News says that Diddy, Johnny Depp, Kevin Spacey exposed critical flaw in the hashtag Me Too movement. Now, I find that interesting. This is according to experts. Said it exposes a critical flaw in the hashtag Me Too prosecutions. I find that interesting because I don't recall them ever saying anything about Kevin Spacey or Johnny Depp's cases being flawed. I don't remember them really saying too much negative things about either of those two. They did say something about Kevin Spacey, but I'm just saying they didn't drag him like they dragged Diddy. And Kevin Spacey was accused of underage people. Okay? Yeah. So with that all been said, I find it interesting that now they want to throw these names, snatch these names out of the woodwork. Mel says they did Kanye the same way, stole his money. Of course they did. And he's going to have a whole lot more problems than stolen money in the near future. Please pay attention. That's just in my opinion. So here's the thing. What they really want to say, I'm sure, is that Diddy's case exposes critical flaw in the Me Too prosecutions. Because now they're seeing that everybody is not going to believe these women. And I want you all to think about that. Because with Bill Cosby, they prosecuted Bill Cosby based on word and hearsay alone. They didn't have any DNA evidence. They didn't have text messages. They didn't have video footage. They didn't have any of that stuff. But they still sent Bill Cosby to prison, even though he was never supposed to have been prosecuted in the first place, which is why they let him out. But the damage had already been done. Now, in the case of Diddy, they actually did have evidence. They had witnesses who came and said certain things, though they were given immunity, and some of them clearly lied. Some of them clearly lied. Okay, the only people that told the truth, in my opinion, the only people who had credible testimony were the people who were not fired by Diddy. Did y'all even think about that? Jay said it the other night when we had the panel discussion. The people who told the truth were the ones who had no axe to grind. One man left because he had to go take care of his sick mom or dad or something like that. He had a good testimony that sounded very truthful and honest. Brendan Paul sounded truthful and honest. Okay, but the people who had holes in their stories that the defense was able to poke holes and cause reasonable doubt in their stories were all people who had an axe to grind. People who were fired by Diddy and who wanted to come back. Capricorn Clark. Mia. They wanted to come back to someone who you claim raped you, Mia. Capricorn, to someone whom you claim kidnapped you, ma'am. Who made you come to the scene where they were going to murk somebody and you sat in the car and cried and wanted to run, but you couldn't for fear of mountain lions eating you alive. These people all had access to grind, but nonetheless, Capricorn Clark still said that she wanted her job back with Diddy. And said that Diddy had blackballed them. That's what some of them said, but which is interesting because Cassie herself admitted to blackballing someone. But none of her supporters want to bring that up, do they? See, that's why I say she's just as bad as Diddy as far as I'm concerned. Okay, they both need help. I'm sure she's gotten help with her illegal substance, issues. Now she's had children that are born healthy and all of that. So glad for her she's gotten help because she needed it. Okay, but Diddy needs help too. And nobody wants to give Diddy that grace that they gave Cassie. I just want y'all to pay attention. Now, but let's continue because here's what they have to say. Sean Diddy Combs, Kevin Spacey, and Johnny Depp's legal victories have established that the hashtag #MeToo movement was a wrecking ball on the legal system as prosecutors failed to collect convictions in those high-profile cases. You know why they didn't get a conviction in Johnny Depp's case? Because Amber Heard did defame that man. She was nasty. Do y'all remember that part in the court in the trial where she squatted over that man's bed and took a jump? Yeah, that's just nasty. So with that all being said, and let's not forget that he actually sued, okay, I want to say it was the Washington Post, but he sued some publication who allowed her to come on their platform, okay, to tell them lies and things that were defamatory and slanderous about Johnny Depp, and then they published it. He sued them and won. And even though she didn't say his name, they didn't print his name. It was obvious by the information that was given that we all knew she was talking about Johnny Depp. Now, after 7 weeks of trial, Diddy was found not guilty of trafficking, one of the most serious accusations the rapper had been facing. Spacey was acquitted in his high-profile London trial stemming from allegations that he had assaulted 4 men, while Depp won $10 million in his defamation case against ex-wife Amber Heard. See, it ain't so much fun when the rabbit got the gun, is it? Okay, now the hashtag #MeToo movement has proven to be a reckoning in the court of public opinion, but a wrecking ball for the American legal system, branding expert Doug Eldridge told Fox News Digital. I find this all interesting. And then O.J. Simpson's lawyer believes Diddy's judge sent him sent a message about his potential sentence. I want to go to that and hear what he had to say. Hold on, how long was that? Oh, yeah, we can't go to that. It looks like it's a whole hour long, and I don't know the timestamp. I'll have to find it later. Maybe we'll listen to it then. But what we are going to listen to is Corinne Steffens, Superhead, sitting there lying on Diddy on Piers Morgan. We're going to get to that. Sounds like she's up to no good as usual. Who wouldn't dug her up out of the woodwork? This interview was from like 5 days ago. At the time, I didn't really care to hear what she said, but I think it's important to note, okay, because it has a lot to do, in my opinion, with these lawsuits that have been filed by Tony Busby and Tyrone Blackburn, which I believe most are frivolous. Now, initially, it provided exposure, disinfected, and justice for decades of criminal behavior in Hollywood. However, the tidal wave of claims, many of which turned out to be either false or lacking evidentiary support, caused an overcorrection across the legal system that was akin to jerking the steering wheel the moment your tires begin to slip on ice. It gradually became emotion over evidence. Isn't that what I've been saying? That these people are emotionally driven, which means they're not using common sense and definitely not using critical thinking skills. These people are mad and butthurt because they're all in their emotions. And that is an antithetical or anti-ethical. It's anti-ethical to jurisprudential standards in America, they say. Now, the court of public opinion is an angry mob. A court of law is a jury of your peers. The latter requires evidence, a burden of proof, and a presumption of innocence, while the former often conflates an accusation with conviction. In the height of the Me Too era, these were all lacking, and over a long enough timeline, Americans, men and women alike, began to realize and eventually rebel against this. Someone says it gradually became emotion over evidence, which it definitely had. So see, here's the thing. Think about how when the Me Too movement first started, some of these people had legit gripes, were legit victims. But by the fact that they started saying ignorant things like believe all the women, and then these feminists came out in full force, repeating that, chanting it, believe all women. That just opened the door for the lies to start spewing in. Because if you think people are going to automatically believe something that you say just because you're of your gender, well, that lets all these people come out looking for bags, okay, trying to get cash. And that's exactly what happened. Okay, and I want you all to pay attention, because didn't a Black woman by the name of Tamara Burke, in fact, come up with the Me Too movement? And then it was taken over by people like Alyssa Milano, or whatever her name is. What's that girl's name? Y'all know who I'm talking about. The girl that played on Who's the Boss? Anyway, the bottom line is, Alyssa Milano. So the bottom line is it got out of control. Okay? It started being used as a witch hunt against certain people. Just like the Mann Act when it first came out. They used it against political rivals, people whom they didn't like their talking points or their politics. They used it against Black men who dared to not only look at white women, but to date them and sleep with them. They used it as a weapon, and they're still using it as a weapon. And that's why I say it's dangerous for people who look like me to sit up here and condone it simply because you don't like Diddy and you're in your darn feelings. And that's giving you the inability. It's prohibiting you from thinking and acting logically and rationally. Okay? That's what I want y'all to pay attention to. Now, with that all being said, let's go to this video. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. Hold on. And another thing, too. Rockstar Diddy trial. Hold on. I'm going to let you all hear what he says. I'm just going to put an overlay on this. I'm going to let you all hear what Rockstar said to TMZ. And for those of you who don't know who Rockstar is, he's the guy from Love and Hip Hop. I forget his girlfriend's name. And I think he's like a music producer or something. He has something to do with the music industry. I'll tell you that much. But here's what he had to say.
It's buzzing.
Yeah.
I mean, about Diddy, the case and everything. What's your take on the verdict? Do you think that the jury was in the right about it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see the crime. And that's my, if being freaky is not really a crime. So now it was some freaky stuff going. It was getting freaky deaky around there, but wasn't no crime. I don't see the crime. I mean, if that's the case, everybody in Hollywood going to jail this week, because this the freakiest place on planet Earth. But yeah, I don't see the crime. I think Puff got out. I think Puff got off because he was supposed to get off. So it's what it is.
I know. I mean, you worked with Cassie before. I mean, do you think that she's truly a victim in all this? A lot of people feel like Diddy didn't nearly get enough time, for what she went through. What do you think?
Now, in terms of his relationship with Cassie, that's personal. I love Cassie. That's my homegirl. And that's a relationship. They was in love for years, together for years. So it's hard to really gauge what it is, but a man should never put his hands on a woman. All that type of stuff is out. That's out. All that extra stuff is out. So if it comes down to an assault situation, something like that, that makes sense. But in terms of their relationship and what she was willing to do for her man and all that, I think I really don't know. That's some girlfriend, boyfriend.
So looking back at it, did you feel like anything was off when you were working with her? Like anything now that you're like on hindsight?
Honestly, she did seem a little depressed here and there. You know what I'm saying? She did see a little depressed a little bit. I always used to ask her, like, you good? But she snapped back into being bubbly, but something going on. But I mean, for me, it's weird because I know Puff fam, they're my family. Christian, that's like my kid. Kim Porter used to be part of my management team. Like, I know all of them. They're all family. And then Cass is fam too, and she's always been sweet and cool. So I don't know. It's weird. I just stay out of. I try to stay as far. I make the hits. Hey, you need you need a hit record. They'll say you want to launch a technology company, something that got to do with. You know what I'm saying? We over there, but yeah.
So do you think that this changes anything for women in the industry, especially younger artists, right? I mean, this kind of changes a lot for the industry. You being in the industry as long as you've been in it.
Right. Does it change anything for women? Now, I mean, it's getting scarier for men, for me, because everything you do is you're now even, flying girls out. You got to be careful doing that because now that's human trafficking and everything you could think of. It's all kind of, it's like, I met a girl. She was pretty. I flew her out. We went to Turks. Now it's human trafficking. So it's like, you got to be extremely careful. And that's why I suggest staying in a relationship. That's the punchline, because everything else is for the birds. It's like, but then again, you're in a relationship and then you have to freak off. I don't know what's going on no more.
No, but that's good advice.
Yeah,
like, so staying in a relationship when you're in the music industry.
A safe place.
All right, so you all heard what the young man said. And that's exactly what I was telling you guys, that at the end of the day, they can start charging everybody with S trafficking. Okay? That was the goal. And he already knows that it would be men who look like him. Please pay attention. Please pay attention. So yes, that could set a dangerous precedent. And now everybody's going to be extra careful, okay, if they're smart. All right? Because I know they don't want the same kind of smoke that Diddy got from the government. Now, let's go to what Superhead had to say, because this woman is something else. Okay, she sounds like she's just plotting as she speaks. Hold on. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. I don't know why they went and dug her up out of the woodwork, but here she is. Okay, here we go.
Or if there's something happened that I didn't remember from our time together, but he was very afraid that I would say something in the book. And honestly, I think he never contacted us back because what he thought I was going to say, I did not say, possibly because I didn't remember it.
What do you think he was fearful of you saying?
I have to be honest, Piers, in booking this time with you today, and your producer asked me to kind of send over some pages from the book, I hadn't read Confessions since I wrote it, and I read it for the audio version, and that was 2005. It's been 20 years since I've read this book. And in reading what I sent over, which is what I just described to you right now, I wonder a lot of things. He was so afraid that I knew something. And I was confused because the only time that we had together prior to this conversation was alone time at his home, wherein I felt we had a good time. I didn't know, he didn't come on to me. It was very platonic, I thought. So I was confused as to what was it? And so I have to admit, my mind kind of races now that I have more context of his proclivities and what he's capable of. of what he was so afraid of, what he thought I knew or what he thought I remembered.
I mean, in the book, you talk about the first time you met Diddy in a nightclub at 3 a.m. You said, right there in front of me, Diddy and Gotti, who was the Murder Inc. Records boss, Irv Gotti, made arrangements to send me to Diddy's house in 1 hour. It was 4 a.m. I turned up to Diddy's home in my SUV. There were security guards in the driveway, all dressed in dark suits with their hands in front of them. They had been expecting me. The things that went on when Gotti and I were together are almost unimaginable to me now. But in the haze of drugs and liquor, it all seemed all right. I was being used over and over again, man after man, all friends and acquaintances of Gotti's. I quickly became Gotti's showpiece. He would turn other people in the industry onto me. I was his party favor. Whenever there was anyone Gotti wanted to impress, he would send them to me and I'd take care of them.
Now, I want you all to ask yourselves a question, okay? Measure Man says, heck, stay single because even in a relationship, they can claim trafficking. Exactly. That's exactly what they did to Diddy. Thank you for your insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel, beloved. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay, so now I want you all to listen to what he's saying or what he's reading from her own book that she, out of her own mouth, said. Okay, let's just rewind it back just a second. Because I really want you all to pay attention to this.
Of Gotti's. I quickly became Gotti's showpiece. He would turn other people in the industry onto me. I was his party favor. Whenever there was anyone Gotti wanted to impress, he would send them to me and I'd take care of them. I mean, could it be that what Sean Combs was worried about was that he facilitated this very transactional relationship that you had with Irv Gotti? Is that part of this?
I don't think that was it. And honestly, I think it was more insidious than that. The fear, the fright that he had that during that conversation at his Miami home, back in whatever year that was, he seemed terrified that I had known something.
She's trying to elude, pay attention, she's trying to allude to the fact that perhaps Diddy did something to her when she was not in her right frame of mind. Maybe she was inebriated or maybe she was rugged. That's what she's trying to get at. Okay, I smell a lawsuit brewing, don't y'all? That's what it sounds like she's doing, setting up for a lawsuit. Okay? She doesn't remember. Oh, but he was scared. I don't know why he was so nervous about what he thought I was going to say. I don't really remember. Things like that. Yeah, she's definitely trying to think of a way to get a lawsuit. That's what that sounds like to me. Okay? And then she said she can't remember everything that was in that book because she wrote it 20 years ago. Girl, if it was your life and you told it truthfully in detail, how do you not remember? We should always remember the truth, right? Lies are what we tend to forget. Maybe her book was full of lies mixed with half-truths. Who knows? But I want you all to pay attention to how he just described what she wrote in the book. Doesn't that sound like what Cassie and Jane Doe were doing? Except Diddy wasn't passing them off to friends. It was to male escorts. And they willfully did so just like she willfully did so. Now, she did it for money, but for the other women, Cassie and Jane Doe, they did it because they were in love with Diddy and because they were all freaks on illegal substances. Now, we all know what we used to call her. So I'm sorry, Cassie and Jane Doe are the same thing she is. That's just a fact. Now, don't hate me. Cassie and Jane Doe are no different than Superhead. Okay, but let's continue.
And I just don't know what he thought I knew or remembered. The transactional nature of how we met, and which is why, I said in various interviews before that I was gifted to him, it was because no one asked me if I wanted to go. No one asked me. They talked about me as if I wasn't there. I was property to cart around. And that's what they did. If they would have asked me, I still would have gone. So I didn't hold any objection at the time because I would have still done it. Being 21 and it's Diddy and we're having fun and it's just a Saturday night out in LA.
Trying to save money on business travel? You should definitely use Navan. Navan's platform helps our companies save
Now, everybody knows how much I enjoy my tea, and I'm very happy to say that today's show is sponsored by Peak's Pure Fermented Teas. At all, then?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Did you actually have any kind of sexual relationship with Diddy at all?
No, Diddy and I did not know. Well, not to my knowledge.
So, what do you mean by that?
Not to my knowledge. I don't. Honestly, I'm questioning a lot of things right now.
Y'all hear this? She said, not to her knowledge. I'm questioning a lot of things right now. Y'all see where this is going? Yeah, she's teetering on the path of trying to come up with a way that she can get a lawsuit against Diddy, a civil lawsuit. Okay? Because I want you all to think about something. If somebody can just make up an allegation on somebody and throw it out there and say they're going to sue, and then it works, then other people can do the same thing. You don't have to have any proof, and it's been so long ago, you can just say, oh, I didn't come forward before because I was afraid for my life. I didn't know if I would be blackballed, if people would come after me. Well, I didn't want to go to the police because I don't know if they were in with the police. They could have paid off police officers. So I had nowhere to go. So I kept quiet until now. So now I'm going to need that cash. I want y'all to pay attention. This is a tale often told in this day and age. Okay? You know, suing people with civil lawsuits and claiming S assault and S trafficking, that's a new grift. So we can't just be believing all of these people. And it's also idiotic in the first place for them to ever fix their mouths to say believe all women when we know that women do lie, specifically vindictive women, specifically gold digging women. Okay, nefarious women. Yeah, they lie. Let's not forget about people like Carolyn Bryant. Let's not forget about the woman that was accusing Kobe, who had 3 different sources of DNA in her underwear. Let's not forget about people like that. But we're supposed to believe all women just because they said so? I don't think so. Okay, I don't think so. And specifically, not people that are gores with a WH, like Miss Superhead Corinne Steffens, or Elizabeth, as she now calls herself, trying to clean up her act, perhaps.
Well, you think
So not to my knowledge. I have no, I don't think anything right now. I just not to my knowledge, because honestly,
that's a very strange response, though, to not remember whether you did or not.
yeah, isn't it?
Mm.
It is. Yeah, it is. Because honestly, Pierce, before now, again, before I went through my text, again, I hadn't read Confessions in 20 years. I wrote it. It was painful to write. So I never wanted to re-traumatize myself and go through those years again. And think about this. I'm a middle-aged woman at this point. I don't want to go back into my 20s and see what happened. But in gathering information for this interview here, reading that passage again for the first time in 20 years, I questioned a lot of things, like, well, why was he so afraid? And why did he try to, make my boyfriend feel as if I wasn't trustworthy? And
do you think he took advantage of you when you were under the influence of alcohol and drugs?
See how Pierce knew exactly where she was going with that? Okay, with that line of BS. Okay, with that line of BS. Okay, Alejandro, thank you for your contribution to the channel, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings.
I
don't know. Honestly, I don't know. And
but do you fear that's the case now from everything you've read?
Honestly, yes. Given the context, now that I know, because again, I never knew any of these things about him before. So the things that I learned in the trial, I did not know. I never saw that side of him. I did not know.
So now she never knew these sides of him. And now that she does, well, he probably did the same thing to me, y'all. He probably did the same thing to me. Isn't that something? I'm telling y'all. I mean, it must be nice when you can just make a false allegation against somebody and join in on the bandwagon, jump on the bandwagon, and you can start making allegations too, because so many people have said it. All these people coming out talking about doused with baby oil that was, that had GHB in it and all of that, and they started to lose their mobility and they couldn't stand up. Y'all still think those people were telling the truth, because that's what so many of the lawsuits said. After that conspiracy theory came out, okay, about there being something in the baby oil, but there was nothing in the baby oil because the feds sure didn't say anything about it. So y'all don't find that interesting? Y'all still believe these people with all these frivolous claims that are just saying things to be saying them? And why are they going to Tony Busby again? Why aren't you at least going to a reputable attorney? Tony Busby and Tyrone Blackburn? Yeah, I find it all interesting. And all of these people have an axe to grind. Well, not all of them, but some of these people have an axe to grind. Okay? Some of these people absolutely have an axe to grind, like Lil Rod. Lil Rod, I don't really believe him any longer. Okay? Now that we see how Tyrone Blackburn really gets down, I don't believe some of that stuff that Lil Rod said. Okay? That's what I don't believe. He's mad about his money. I believe Diddy absolutely owes him money. But all that other stuff, see, he's already been proven to be a liar. Do y'all remember that? When he said in his lawsuit that basically there were underage people at the party and that Justin Combs was the one who went and got him and brought him there. But then those women that they showed pictures of in the lawsuit, mind you, those same women came out and said, hey, we're grown. We're in our 30s. What are you talking about underage? Lies. Okay? Lies and BS. All right? She is cooked in a court of law as well. Hashtag wow, shaking my head. Okay? Thank you, Todd. I appreciate your insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel. Beloved, peace, love, and blessings. These people just be lying. We got to stop doing this. We got to stop believing everything that people say as soon as they say it. You know, myself included. Because it makes for good storylines and good, reporting and all of that. But are these people really telling the truth? It's what we should be asking ourselves. Because some of these people have flat out lied and we believed them. Like Little Miss Jane Joe with Tony Busby, who accused Diddy and Jay-Z, talking about the incident that happened September the 7th of 2000, only to find out that she was telling the whole lie the whole time. And then somebody even tried to fix it and justify it by saying, well, wait a minute, maybe she got the year wrong. If something that traumatic happened to you, I don't know how you would forget the year. Okay, so I'm just saying this is all just real crazy. But let's listen to a few more minutes of her lies. Corinne Steffens, that is, aka Superhead.
I never understood. And again, in 2005, when I published Confessions, it says I didn't understand why he was so fearful of me, because our time together was pleasant. And I was like, wait, what is he so afraid of? What does he not want me to tell? I didn't see anything at that point. At that point, I hadn't seen anything. At that point, we had, I thought, just a friendly, platonic night together. So I was confused then. And 20 years later, I'm confused now. So to my knowledge, I've never had sex with Sean Combs. We never had that kind of relationship.
Let me tell you all why you know she's full of cap. Because she does know. If Diddy was nervous about her putting something about him in that book before she wrote it, I think we all should know why. Because she told a story about Diddy to Exhibit. Does she think we forgot about that? Because I don't forget anything, okay? She told a story about Diddy, or Exhibit might have told the story, but it was about her and Diddy. Something she supposedly told. Hold on. Let me see if I can find that. Hold on, beloveds. I don't know who. Here it is right here. Exhibit leaks dark Diddy secret. Hold on. We'll go to this in just a second. Hold on, let me cue this real quick. Okay, so here we go. Now I'm going to listen to a couple of more seconds. Hold on.
But you can't be sure.
Given what we know now, I can't be sure.
And how does that make you feel?
And that saddens me.
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
It saddens me, honestly. Yeah, because honestly, during this entire process, I've been shying away from publicity and just letting the trial unfold. I knew things from just being around and people talking, but I didn't know what was going to come out. There's a few things that I saw that without context were strange to me, but I didn't understand them until the trial.
Girl, sit down somewhere. Sit down somewhere now saying, given now what I know about him, I don't know. I just can't be sure. Girl, sit down somewhere, okay? Please sit down somewhere, lady, and stop lying and clout chasing and talk about she didn't want to say anything, because of the stuff that was coming out of the trial. Everybody who's seeking clout, who's ever known Diddy, been around Diddy, gone to a party with Diddy, have come out and said stuff just to get clout when the whole Diddy trial started, or even before the trial started. Now let's go to what the story that Exhibit told. I'm not saying the story is true or not, but I do believe, if memory serves me correct, and I think it does, that Exhibit mentioned Corinne Steffens, okay, and a story or something that she supposedly told him about Diddy. So she's sitting there acting like, I don't know why he was so nervous. Maybe because this story you told Exhibit is what he thought you might put in your damn book, lady. Cut the crap.
You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
It was on South Beach, right?
Right.
So then we go to the house, and then he invited us to the house because he wanted to go to the club afterwards, right? I was like, okay, cool. So Superhead is with me, you know what I'm saying? Karen is with me, you know what I'm saying? Whatever.
Superhead.
Yeah. So she takes me, Puffy calls me outside. He's like, hey man, that girl you know about the girl you. I was like, yeah, nigga, everybody know, but you know what I'm saying? What's happening? You know, he's like, that's the devil, man. You know what I'm saying? I was like, what you mean that's the devil?
The devil got a pretty mouth.
Yeah, and I was like, what you mean that's the devil? You know, and then he was like, yeah, man, she videotaped you with fingers in the booty.
That's a new
movie. You know
movie.
what I'm saying? I was
the
like,
devil
what?
sucks
like,
penis.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Rewind. I heard a penis and a finger in the ass story. What?
She said,
so Puffy tells you that
she will videotape you with fingers in the booty. Yeah, and I was like, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean?
So then I go.
Yeah, my mistake, you guys. It wasn't what she told Exhibit about Diddy. It's what Diddy told Exhibit about her. Okay, that's what it was. But honey, all I'm saying is she knew damn well why Diddy was nervous, because he didn't want her to put issue about him in that book. She knows why. But let's continue. Also, thank you, Measure Man said 304 problems ain't no joke. I know that's right, honey. We all know who the 304s are. Thank you for your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings.
Back in the house, and I asked her, what the fuck are you talking about? He
said
you're a filmer. Yeah, I did ask him. He's just like, whatever. He went off and did his thing. And I was like,
he limping?
He walked away and the nail fell out his boot.
No, I'm gonna clear this shit up because I'm not gonna have my name. I ain't gonna have my name out there crazy like that.
Go ahead.
So then she say, I told him what he told me, and she was like, oh, she started laughing like a motherfucker. I'll tell you later. So then I was like, okay, well, I'm not gonna make a big deal of it, whatever. So then then I guess he's had some prior incident with her that he don't want nobody to know about. You know what I'm saying? So we get into the truck. He said, let's go to this club. So everybody probably the car is fucking silent. You know what I'm saying? We get to this club, and then we walk in the back way. It's a VIP lounge, ain't nobody in there. And then the club is going, it's all jumping, and then I'm sitting there with old girl. So then he's doing his business. We go down and get a drink. We sitting there bobbing to the music, and then she pointed over the corner. It's two dudes kissing. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, the fuck is this? You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay. Then there's girls in the club too, and then she pointed another direction. It's another dude over there, like butt ass naked dancing. You know what I'm saying?
Hey.
We take off, man. You know what I'm saying? We leave the club directly. I didn't say peace to nobody. I didn't see nobody. Gay. Yeah, it was suspect. A lot of suspect. The club was chalk it up. You could chalk it up to being in Miami or whatever. I've been in a gang. I've been in a gang of clubs, man.
The club was called.
And I ain't never mistakenly stepped into a club having that kind of activity.
I want to talk about.
You want people to know about.
I don't know if the story that I have.
Okay. I want you all to pay attention. So with that all being said, clearly she knows why Diddy didn't want her putting him in that book, why he was nervous. Because Exhibit said that when he told her, or he was asking her about what Diddy said, she started laughing and said, ha, I'll tell you later. Okay, so she knows why Diddy didn't want her, why he was nervous. But now pay attention to how she's trying to allude to something else. Okay, this is how people just be lying. Now she's trying to allude to maybe, he may have slipped me something and I was not in my right state of mind. Because when Pierce asked her, did you have relations, or do you think maybe he drugged you or something? And she's like, I don't know. Girl, sit down some damn word. Sit down somewhere, because back then nobody had to do anything to her to get her to do what they wanted. Okay, that's what she was known for. Okay, like really. Okay, anyway, so I just wanted to share that with you all. But in the meantime, between time, what I find interesting is the fact that these prosecutors can't find any cases other than Jack Johnson. That's the only one I found where the person who was paying for the prostitution services is the one who gets charged with the Mann Act violation, but not the pimp, not the prostitute or the prostitution services, the escort services or company where the person came from. They don't get convicted, or they don't get charged, at least. Y'all don't find that interesting? Y'all don't find that interesting at the end of the day? And like I said, in that other case that I read to you, Patrice says, OG Patrice says, I found 2 cases, Queen. What cases did you find other than Jack Johnson and the other case that I talked about with Max Hardcore, beloved? Because like I said, with the case of Max Hardcore, can you put the names of what you found in the chat, please? Because in the case of Max Hardcore, like I said, he was distributing corn and he was transporting women to do corn. Okay. And distributing that. And so basically this had some elements, they said, of the Mann Act, but he wasn't charged under the Mann Act. So where's their case? Okay. What do they have to come up with? Because I think the judge wants at least 3. Okay. I think the judge wants at least 3 cases. All right. Because just one's not going to cut it. And I know, like I told you, they don't want to bring up Jack Johnson. That's rooted in racism. Okay. We already know that. So what are they going to do? What are they going to do at the end of the day? And I know some people want Diddy to go down for the counts and get a lengthy sentence, but I don't think it's going to happen. Okay, I don't think it's going to happen. I know the judge doesn't want people to be going in on him saying that how he's racist and this, that, and the third, which is exactly what people will be saying. Okay, some of us are already saying it. It was obvious to me that he was showing favoritism. Okay, and in a government, in a district where they elected not to charge Governor Spitzer, okay, a Caucasian man who was a political figure, a very significant political figure at the time. They didn't want to do anything to him. They didn't want to besmirch his character and his name. Didn't want to drag him through the mud. Okay, so why did he? So with that all being said, I'm about to be out of here. You all drop me a comment to let me know what you think. And Measurement said they gonna claim he was inexperienced. Yeah. So anyway, that all being said, hold on, beloveds. Okay, so I'm about to be out of here, guys. Drop me a comment to let me know what you think about it. I may come back later. Let's have a brief word from my sponsor before I pull up one more thing.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. You can also find it at Walmart.com. Now, I almost forgot to tell you all about this. Now, listen up. This woman, Azealia Banks, whom I cannot stand, by the way, she said that Kanye West is on Diddy tapes and hooked up with Elon Musk. Okay, she's making some wild allegations, honey. Doesn't have any receipts as far as I'm concerned. In a jaw-dropping yet not so new social media meltdown, Azealia Banks has sparked controversy yet again. This time targeting Kanye West. The Harlem rapper accused West of past assault or sexual relationships with both the late fashion designer Virgil Abloh and billionaire Elon Musk, even claiming Ye was involved in one of Diddy's rumored party tapes. Girl, where do you get this information from? I have several questions. Banks's rant came after a leaked Kanye West track snippet titled Cousins surfaced online. Now, this just came out today, mind you. Okay, where Ye referenced an sexual experience with a male cousin during his youth. That revelation sent shockwaves through social media, opening the door for Banks to revive years-old claims and inject new ones into the already chaotic narrative. Now, in a post that she put on X, she said, Kanye and Virgil, let me just share this on the screen, honey, because I absolutely cannot with Azealia Banks. Okay. She said Kanye and Virgil were lovers. Elon Def got some head from Kanye off that ketamine. Kanye is on one of them Diddy tapes. Jay-Z was like, no homo. Trump was like, no homo. Travis was like, no homo. Drake was like, no, thank you. Amber hit him with the strap. Kim thought she could, but vomited on his back and started crying. Chris yelled, cut. I don't know what this woman is talking about. She sounds crazy as hell. Now, Banks also said, let me get this off the screen. Also did not stop at Kanye West and bizarrely roped in names like Jay-Z, Donald Trump, Travis Scott, Amber Rose, Kim Kardashian, and Kris Jenner. Okay, now here's the next post. Kanye and Virgil were lovers. Oh, this is the same one. Okay. And so anyway, she even dragged Taylor Swift into the mix, urging the pop star to finally get this dude and put an end to West's antics once and for all. In a now deleted X post, Banks claimed that Swift was the only one with enough clout and clean hands to publicly call West out without facing backlash. Don't she sound crazy, you guys? Azealia Banks' tweet alleging that Kanye West had romantic or sexual ties with Virgil Abloh and Elon. I don't even know who that guy is. I know I'm probably saying his name wrong, but anyway, Abloh. And Elon Musk has no public evidence backing it up, but the speculation is catching fire online. Now, Virgil and West had a famously close relationship, both professionally and personally. The two interned together at Fendi in 2009 and collaborated on major creative projects, including early Yeezy designs. Abloh's death in 2021 from cardiac angiosarcoma led West to organize a tribute for him at his Donda listening event in Chicago. Still, no suggestion of a romantic link has ever been made by either party until Banks' tweet. Now, Elon Musk, on the other hand, shares a more distant connection with West. While there are photos and moments that place the two in similar circles, such as West's 2020 presidential bid and public meetings with Musk, there is zero verifiable proof of a deeper or private connection. However, the mention of ketamine in Banks' claims is eerie, especially since Musk has publicly supported the controlled use of ketamine for mental health reasons. Well, that sounds like a reach to me, but let me continue. Well, it is also worth noting, and no secret, that Banks has a history of alleging unusual or unverifiable behavior by celebrities. In 2018, she famously claimed that she was trapped at Musk's house during his breakup with Grimes, accusing him of being erratic. Those claims were later widely disputed. Azalea's confession came right after a disturbing confession from Kanye West himself. In an X post, Ye appeared to share a traumatic experience from his childhood. Okay, this lady sounds crazy, like she's just clout chasing out here and just saying any and everything, honey, just to get her name in the headlines. Okay, she doesn't have anything going for herself. I mean, her career is on the rocks, is it not? I'm sorry, but don't y'all find this interesting? Azealia Banks, all I need to say is please sit down somewhere, okay? Please sit down somewhere. This woman has always been a clout chaser, and unfortunately, she is a little talented, in my opinion. And so with that being said, it's sad that her controversial statements and unprovable, or unproven allegations about a myriad of people and her insults and disrespect towards many people has far outshone her talents. Okay, because now she's just known as being a drama queen and somebody who likes to be controversial. Nobody even talks about her music anymore. And I actually used to like some of it. Okay, so the lounge says, Queen, great information. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. Okay. Queen Sam said, this girl really always says something to seem relevant. Exactly. Y'all remember that time she was doing that spell where she had like, she boiled her dead cat or something? Like, this lady is just, she's just a freak for me, like a freak of nature, like some weirdo. Okay. She's just very strange is all I'm saying. So Drobo Knox says Virgil is no longer with us. Right. I don't know who that man is. I never even heard of him. Okay. You just said I can't with that woman. Honey, I can't either. Anyway, with that all been said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast. I want to thank you all for tuning in once again. Please like and share, subscribe if you haven't done so. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Until next time, beloveds, I will talk to you all again soon.
Hit him with that flavor. All in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen, why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all in Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me?